welcome to the next episode of the Lisa Pezik Show. And in this episode, we're going to talk about boundaries in your business. Now, I know that you're either really good or maybe not so great about setting boundaries in your personal life. And if you're not so great at it, hopefully that's something that you are working on personally, because boundaries are a necessity. They are a necessity in our personal life and our professional life. I truly believe, especially as women, that we don't really work in silos where here I'm mom and then here I'm wife and then here I'm business owner, and I can have boundaries here, but I don't need boundaries here, or I act this way here and I don't act this way there. I really feel like it all crosses over when we're talking about the things that we allow into our life. And we know that when we don't have boundaries and we don't set the tone of our day and we don't put our needs first and we don't have our priorities straight, we're no good to anyone else. And when you're a coach or a consultant or a therapist, or if you're in the service industry, you've got to be on your A game, because that's what people are paying you for. So when you don't have clear boundaries, not only are you not good at what you do, or maybe, I shouldn't say you're not good at what you do, you could do it better, you're showing up in an okay way. But if you had stronger boundaries, clear boundaries, you'd be so much better. You could show up so much fuller and deeper and alive and engaged because your needs have been taken care of. Or you're not frustrated that you're putting something to the side, like your workout or one of your own personal goals, or something, maybe just some downtime or rest time for you or your family. You're not compromising the things that are important to you. So when you've lost that boundary, especially as an entrepreneur in your business, you're not showing up to the full capacity that I know that you can. And I know very early in my business, before I got into really doing this business strategy, business coaching, websites, funnels, really owning being a trainer and a coach and a strategist and an expert, in this online space, I started my first funnel in health and fitness. And with that, I decided to become a Beachbody coach. And we ran a lot of online challenge groups. So Facebook groups, now there's Facebook groups everywhere, all over the place. Back then it was kind of sort of new, 7 years ago or so. And I didn't have clear boundaries when it came to my Beachbody business, meaning that I would be in those groups 24/7. Every time I got a notification, I felt an obligation because I was the coach that I needed to comment. And that's the thing about social media. People go on there at their earliest convenience, or when they can, or when they can fit it in their day. And the beautiful part about it being online was that we had people from all over the world, all sorts of time zones. So it's all day and night, I didn't turn off those notifications. And it was ping, ping, ting, ting, ting. And I can remember my husband, Eric, looked over at me and he's like, you don't even care about spending time with me. You don't care about spending time with Oliver, who's now 5, our son. But he was pretty young at the time. He was about 2 years in. So he was probably in that first year, second year. And if I wasn't nursing him or I wasn't caring for him in that first year and second year, as soon as I put him down, as soon as he would nap, I'd be right on my phone. Or as soon as, Eric was like, don't worry, I'll take him for an hour. You've had him for a long time. You need a break. My break was then going in and looking in my challenge group and answering and working. So there was no time for Eric and I. It was either baby, our son, or Beachbody business. And that was it. And it's not the Beachbody business's fault. It's not the business's fault. It's that I didn't have priorities and boundaries and rules for myself around that business. And because it was a social media based business, it looked like I was just chatting with my friends online. instead of spending time with my husband, valuable time with my husband. So there was a huge disconnect, not only in my business, but a huge because I was frustrated that it was almost like people I would go through and people would comment and I'd be like, ding, 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 done. And then like a half hour later, I'd hear another ding. Or like 10 o'clock at night, I'd hear a ding. Or 11 o'clock at night, I would hear a ding. And I was like almost pissed off because I was like, well, now I got to go answer that. So not only was it making me frustrated, and I was a little bit disconnected from the point of why I was doing that business to help myself and help others live a happy and healthy and less stressful life. And there was this huge disconnect with my own family. And it was all because I couldn't set clear boundaries. And at first, of course, I got defensive and mad and angry, and we got in an argument about it. And then when I thought about it, I was like, he's right. He's right. I need to really sit down and look at this. And I did. Now I no longer do that piece so full time. Now I'm into this, but I had to bring that same lesson into this brand and this business that I'm currently in, which is my own baby, my own brand, my own business. So it's so much harder for me to disconnect from it because it's like truly mine. Not that your network marketing business isn't truly yours, because it is yours, but your own personal brand is like your baby. It's your own baby, which made it even harder when you are a perfectionist and a go-getter. And there's always something to do when you're an entrepreneur. There's always a piece of content you can write. There's always a blog or a podcast or a live video or a newsletter or an email or a course video or continuity video. I mean, there's always something, or even just general out like networking and getting out and talking to people and answering emails and the whole bit. Like there's always something you can do. So boundaries are so key. So the first thing when you're a business owner, or even just in your life, even if it's not around your business, when you get good at something or you've had a change in your life, people are going to say, hey, I would just love to pick your brain. I would love to just talk to you for like 5 minutes. There's going to be a lot of requests on your time. But you know what? Time is that thing that you can't get back. And requests of time, if you think about it, if you just spent every day spending 5 minutes here with this person, 10 minutes here with this person, 20 minutes here with this person, you would never be productive. And let's face it, we've all been there. How many of you have been there? When someone says, hey, can I just pick your brain for like 5 minutes? Is it ever really 5 minutes? It is not 5 minutes. I can't get on the phone with someone for, it's at least 30 to 45, if not 60 minutes, if I'm going to get in and someone's going to pick my brain and I'm really going to give them solid advice, whether they're paying me or it's a free strategy call. I mean, that's just who I am as a person. I'm going to show up 110%, give them all I got. And that's not going to happen in 5 minutes. You know, even my free 15-minute strategy calls, I say 15 minutes because I don't want to set that expectation that I'm going to spend hours on the phone with someone. And I got to be cognizant of how many I book and how much exactly that request of time. But it's like, I go deep with people. And I know if you're a business owner, you do the same. And there's nothing wrong with only hopping on the phone for 5 minutes with someone. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But what I'm saying is that when you become an expert and you get good and other people want what you want, or other people want what, I shouldn't say want what you want, other people want what you have, they're going to start asking you, how'd you do that? How'd you get that? Will you teach me? And that's a slippery slope to get down, because you start saying yes to some, then you got to say yes to everyone. So the first thing you got to do is have some sort of system set up in your business that a lot of the legwork can be done before you actually get on the call. So we have almost like Eric and I, my husband and I, because we coach together, we have like an online business assessment that we ask everyone to fill out before we hop on a call together. That way we can keep it to 15 minutes if we have to, or if necessary. Or if we get on and we realize we're not going to be a great fit for each other, well, let's not waste each other's time for hours. But we have people do the assessment first, because a lot of that beginning conversation that we would have happens in that assessment. Same thing with my energy and health and fitness kind of piece that I still do a little bit with that. I have what's called a healthy formula assessment, same exact thing. So it walks people through looking at their habits, and I already have that feeling of how long is this conversation going to take. And then I guess the next question that I always ask is it really necessary that we meet? Every meeting must have a clear agenda. Like, I get people all the time that are like, I had a woman the other day that said to me, I'm wondering if in the new year I could have 30 to 45 minutes of your time. And I'm like, oh, like I have no idea who she is. She just reached out to me on social media, and I'm like, 30 to 45 minutes of my time? Holy moly, that's a whole block of productivity for me. Like, this better be good. So I literally wrote back and I was like, what is this meeting about? Give me specifics. And I think she was like a little bit taken back by that. But now in the days of social media and network marketing, everybody's trying to spam me with their product. And I'm like, if you want to get on a 45-minute call with me to spam me with your MLM product, and I don't even know you, I'm like, no. And maybe shame on me for getting my back up right away. But I was like, what does this entail? And I was like, are you with network marketing? Are you trying to sell me something in network marketing? And she's like, no. She's like, I made it a vow to reach out to women that are killing it in business, because that's what I want to do. She's a nurse like me. And she's like, I just want to connect. I want to know if I can just pick your brain, and we'll see how we can make this mutually beneficial for each other. I'm like, okay, so it's give and take. And so I don't believe that I got 45 minutes, but I can give you 15 minutes or so. How about next week? And we hopped on, and it was great. And we talked about how we can serve each other, and I gave her some tips, and she's got ways she's going to refer things to me. And we just started that conversation. But don't be afraid to ask when someone's requesting your time. Don't be afraid to say, like, what is this all about? What is this for? How long are we going to be on for? And the second part, I think, that I want to teach you about, other than request for time, is the priority. Like, do you need to speak to me? And if it's me, why? And if it's me, like, when is your true deadline? Because I've had people that actually got mad at me when they've wanted to pick my brain or chat with me, or even hop on a coaching call. And I'm like, yeah, I'm booking 3 weeks out. Like, I can't talk to you till next month. And people are like, really? You can't talk to me? I only want to talk for like 20 minutes and you can't make, time for me? Well, no, because if I bump you to the head of the line, well, then how am I ever going to manage my time if I'm constantly bumping you and bumping you and bumping you and bumping you? And the gentleman said to me, well, I feel like because you won't bump me, I'm not important to you. And for me, I'm like, ding, 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 red flag, that if you can't understand that I've got other people that I'm helping that have booked calls with me months in advance and have been patiently waiting and are excited and ready, no, random stranger, I'm not just going to bump you to the front of the line amongst other people that are there and scheduled. And that would be really douchey on my part to do that. So as much as people will be requesting your time, you've got to honor your time and honor other people's time, so that when every person is saying, can you meet with me? Can you meet with me? It's really important that we chat. I always go, yeah, tell me a little bit more about that. Why is it really important that we chat? Well, I need to talk to you by tomorrow because I have this question that I'm just not sure about and I don't know what to do. And okay, tell me what you've done to figure it out on your own. Where have you looked? What have you done? Oh, well, I just know you'll have the answer, so I just want to ask you tomorrow. It's like, no. Get a little bit of skin in the game. Do your own research, because 9 times out of 10, people were like, oh, I found the answer. Oh, I figured it out. They're just lazy. They'd rather come to you as the expert and ask you than go and figure it out on their own. Now, if they're a client that's paying you, let's say they booked a coaching call with you or they booked your services, then you've just got to be really clear in those service agreements or in those packages how you deliver your time. Like, do you email them twice a week? Are you available for email support during business hours? I know for myself, I have a standing meeting at 11 o'clock on Mondays and Fridays with the client, and she knows that's her time that she can get me. Are you available via tech support? What are the hours of that? I mean, nobody's going to fault you when you tell people, this is how you reach me. These are the times that you can reach me, and here's how this works. It's when you don't tell people that and what those boundaries are is when we get pissed because we're like, oh, you're taking advantage of me. No, they're not taking advantage of you. They just don't know what your boundaries are, right? That's for people that got a little bit more skin in the game, that are paying you, that aren't like cold market people. But cold market people, I'm like, here's what I'm booking out. Here's my calendar. Like, here you go. And the people that are paying me and that have booked in things, it's like, I take care of those people. Those people are priority. Those cold market people, they're priority too, but with boundaries of time there. Because once you, again, that like people pleaser, once you start saying yes to everyone and your schedule is no longer your own, that's when, like I said in the beginning, all that resentment and anger comes. And I really think asking that question, like, why now? And then almost even taking that a step further and saying, like, what's going to happen if we don't talk tomorrow? Like, I cannot fit you in my schedule tomorrow. I've got other paying clients that have been booked, or I'm speaking at an event all day, or they don't even maybe need to know it, but it's like, that's the day I booked off for self-care because I'm burnt, because I've been, going hard for 3 weeks straight or whatever it is. You don't have to justify. You're just like, no, I can't meet with you tomorrow. And I always say, what's going to happen if I don't meet with you? And 9 times out of 10, people say, well, nothing. I guess it'll be another day till I, can figure that. Or maybe I'll go figure that out on my own. Like it's like, well, when do you really need to talk to me by? Or, hey, I'm waiting on this thing from you. Well, when do you really need it by? When you need, like something bad's going to happen if you don't have it. Like you might lose a deal or lose something, or something terrible may happen if you don't have it by this date. And most times people are like, yeah, if you can get that to me by next week, that'd be awesome. Oh, okay, so tomorrow wasn't the real deadline then. Next week was the real deadline. So don't be afraid to ask lots of questions. Because that, again, that's not to say that I'm never going to stray from my schedule or bump emergency things in there. I can do that. We all can do that. You just got to make sure that the emergency is the true emergency, because there's going to be a lot of non-emergencies that people are going to act like they're emergencies when they're really not. It's just their personal preference. Personal preference versus emergency, two very different things. Now, the third thing I want to teach you about boundaries in your business, I don't really know if this falls under boundaries, but this is kind of in my brain where it's like, it's a boundary thing for me. I get frustrated when people question the price of my services, because I do a lot of education-based marketing. Like, you want free info from me, just go to my website and you'll see my podcast, my blog, my live videos, my newsletters. They're all weekly. Like Monday's podcast, Tuesday is live video on Facebook, Instagram, social media, LinkedIn, like posting all that stuff there. Wednesday's blog writing. Thursday is newsletter, and Friday sometimes I'm shooting YouTube videos, or I'm speaking at a conference or hosting a workshop, and I always put those playbacks in my newsletters. Like pretty much almost every day of the week, Monday through Friday, you can get some free information about how to crush it in your online business with me. So when people go down that road of, oh, well, that's too much money, I know that I do an incredible job of free value and then positioning what exactly you're going to get when you hire myself or you hire my husband. We decided very early on when we started working together at the end of last year, we're in January, the end of the previous year, we decided that, God, time flies. We decided that we were not a low level, how am I saying this? I don't want to say it like that. We decided that we were like top-notch service, that you were getting people who, my husband's been in the industry 20 years. I've been in it now 5, but I have previous degrees, built a previous brand, have studied under Brendan Burchard in his mastermind, Bo Eason in his mastermind, Mel Abraham in his mastermind. I've been 3 high-level masterminds. We know lots of stuff, and we bring a lot of expertise to what we do, and we've walked the walk, and we've been there, and we've navigated those potholes, and you get 2 for the price of 1 because we're like a one-stop shop, meaning that when there's content, copy, energy, video, that's me. And then when it comes to the tech, like full tech support with your website, funnels, email automation, chatbots, SEO, like graphic design, that whole bit, when you got to make it pretty or you got to make it work with tech, that's my hubby. And then my hubby also has a lead generation program where once it's built and it's up with tech and then you're launching it, here's how to get leads and eyeballs on it to launch it. And then I teach, which I love, the sales psychology and how to sell from an authentic place and how to close sales. So like there really isn't anything, there's no roadblock really when you work with us. The only roadblock is that you don't want to pay us. That's the only roadblock. And typically it's never the money. It's that like for some reason there's a disconnect between us or there's a disconnect in our service. And I don't wait. And I guess why I talk about it in boundaries is because I don't spend a lot of time trying to justify why we charge what we charge. Because when you think about the reasons why people won't buy from you, they won't buy because they don't trust you, number 1. They don't trust your service, number 2, or they don't, or like service or product, they don't think it's going to work or it's not going to work for them or they don't understand it, or number 3, they don't got the money. And I rarely think it's ever about the money because if people are going to hop on discovery calls with you and check you out, they're interested in investing. Like you can see from our branding and what we got, you can see our prices right up front on my website. So it's typically never that. It's usually us, or you don't believe in us, or you don't believe in the product or service. And that's okay because we said, we're not going to cater to we're not going to give world-class, high-level service to people for like $300 or $500. Like that's what Fiverr is for. That's what, and I say that with no disrespect. I'm saying there are services out there where you can get things done. You can get a Wix website. I don't even know. I think they're free, right? Like you can pay somebody to do your, you can pay somebody from other places or other things that will work like for cheap. That's not us because we deliver high quality service, like the best of the best of the best. And that's not for everybody. It's not for everybody. And that's okay. I think as business owners, that boundary is we spend too much time trying to convince people to work with us. And that's when selling becomes icky. And that's when we get in our own head and we make it about us. So I think you just have to have that boundary that as long as you've done the work in terms of showing the value, showing your expertise, giving lots of free value, don't spend a lot of time. Again, time. Don't spend a lot of time with people trying to tell them your worth. That's just a complete waste of time. So that's why I put that in the boundary section, right? You got to kind of know, what is your brand? Is it beginner? Is it mid? Or is it like expert level kind of stuff? And that doesn't have anything really to do with, like we always get in our own way about that. You can value yourself at whatever you see fit for whatever reasons that you see that, right? And then the last one with the boundaries in business is don't be afraid to fire people. I had a fitness client who paid me well. She paid me $75. Wait, for a half hour. So like $150 an hour. She came to my home. I trained her out of my home when I still had my garage studio. And she paid me $75 for a half hour. And sometimes it was more like, I mean this in the most loving way, but it was more like therapy. And she wanted me to just go for a walk with her. Like sometimes I think she wanted more of a friend than a trainer. $75 to go for a walk with someone and talk to them about their life. Sometimes she brought her dog, but you know what? It made her the happiest person ever in the beginning. Then it kind of I kept saying to her, like, we need to step it up a little bit because weight loss, I kept going back and saying, like, is weight loss really a goal of yours? Because going for a walk, 30 minutes, like, we're going to be here forever if we're really trying to, like, shed fat and lose weight and get some stuff done. And it got to a point where it wasn't so much about the result, even though I kept trying to think of the end result. It was she would come late for training. Like our training would be at 9 a.m. and I would have another client at 9:30 or 9:45. Yeah, what was it, 9:45? Yeah. And she would come at 9 a.m. or she would come at like 9:20 instead of 9 a.m. She'd come 20 minutes late. And then she'd say, yeah, well, you can just push your next client because I had this going on. I couldn't get out of bed and I was tired and the dog with this. And I'm like, no, it doesn't matter. Like your training session is at 9 o'clock. No, I'm not a jerk. Like we could have a little bit leeway, but when we're training for 30 minutes, you can't come 20 minutes late. Or I would have to go, pick up my kid from daycare. And again, she would come 20, 30 minutes late. And I'd be like, I'd be texting her the whole time. And I'm like, I'm very sorry, but I can't train you. Like you're late. And then it got to that, well, I pay you, so you'll do whatever I say. And there was just no bound, like just bulldoze the boundaries of my time and what I had going on. And I kept her for a year because I was like, it's good money and I really want to help her and she needs me. And then eventually, like, it just got worse and worse and worse. And she wasn't following anything I was telling her to do in terms of her nutrition. And then she was complaining that she wasn't losing weight. And I was like, oh my God, I need to pivot. And I got to the point where once her block was done, I was like, I'm very sorry, but I can't train you anymore. Like this just isn't going to work. So don't be afraid. I don't want to say to fire people because that sounds pretty harsh, but don't be afraid that if it's not working anymore with a client, even if they've paid you, and let's say it's like your first session, I mean, give them, that's why you got a money back guarantee. It works for them, but it also works for you. So you're never stuck in something if you just get in with this client that can't respect you or can't respect your time or is rude to you. I mean, I've heard horror stories of clients being abusive and just rude to their coaches and trainers and strategists and all that sort of stuff, VAs and the whole bit. So don't be afraid to pivot. Don't be afraid to fire people if you have to and end a contract. Don't be afraid to give them their money back and say, you know what, I'm giving you a refund because this just isn't going to work for me. Right? So I think that's a boundary that, again, we feel like, well, we feel that obligation that they're paying us so they can get away with whatever, they want. And we still have to be human to each other. We still have to be kind. So those are the 4 big, boundaries that I had to learn the hard way that I needed to set in my business. That request of time, is there pre-work that you can do, like an assessment without me? Can we meet online? Maybe instead of meeting in person, can we have a quick online chat? There's so many people that are like, I meet in person. That's the way I do things. Well, great for you. That's not the way I do things because I have a high volume of people that I help. I don't say that to them, but I'm like, no, I do online meetings. That's just how my schedule works. And then like the priorities, number 2, like, is this a true necessity? What will happen if I don't answer you or I don't bump you to the front, right? So it's blocking that time for your schedule. You own that schedule. You're not saying yes to everyone that demands your time. And when you're saying no, you're saying, well, what can you do? Like, does it have to be me? Don't waste your time with people that question your price, as long as you're doing everything you can to give them free value and show up. And lastly, don't be afraid to pivot or fire people if that needs to happen. If it doesn't feel right, it doesn't feel right. And I always say, gosh, trust your gut. And you're going to say, well, what if people get mad at me? Like that personal training client that I had to fire. I'm pretty sure she was pretty freaking mad at me. But you know what? I got back my time. I got back respect. I got back peace of mind. Like, I can't even talk about how much happier I was when I no longer worked with her. And I wish her well, and I don't mean her any disrespect. I'm sure she's found other trainers and the right fit for her, but we just ended up not being the right fit. So yeah, people might get upset. But what's worse? Bulldozing your own boundaries, spending your time, energy, and money with people that are not a right fit for you. That's worse. That's going to make you more miserable and resentful in the long run. And maybe so, what if no more business comes? Like, I can't say no to everyone that I think is a wrong fit. Yeah, you can, because when you say no, it opens up you and it opens up the door for the right people to contact you and the right people to work with you. So that's my message. If you want to book a free 15-minute call, you're going to head to lisapezik.com, and I will see you over there at the bottom of everything. You'll see how you can book in that free 15-minute call with me. I'd love to see you over there, and I'll see you next time on the Lisa Pezik Show.